I want you to think about this, Ohio State fans. Really think about this. You had the better quarterback in this game the past 2 years, and you've gotten blown out. Hasn't even been close. And this year, you don't have the better quarterback. So, as a college football fan, what should I think is going to happen? You know what time it is. Come on, man. I know why you're here. You know why you're here. We're about to preview the biggest game of the year, and that is no other than Michigan versus the little bro in Ohio State. It's been a long time coming, and a real long time coming at that. And before we get any farther, I want to give a major and quick shout out to the little bro Ohio State fan base. I want to shout them out for 2 reasons. Number 1, because I always see them comment on the videos, and I appreciate that. But reason number 2 as to why I want to give them a shout out is because I still get asked till this day, yo, Matt, why do you call Ohio State Little Bro State? And more times than not when people ask those questions, you guys in the comment section do a great job explaining it. But for the new people on this channel that don't know why I say that, it's relatively simple. I said after you lost to Michigan last year, I'm calling you Little Bro because you can't beat Big Bro. And I've stated this and made it astronomically clear. I'm going to continue to call Ohio State Little Bro State until you beat Michigan again. Well, guess what, Ohio State and Ohio State fans? You can change that narrative this Saturday. If you can beat Michigan this Saturday, I'll quit calling you Little Bro. It's as simple as that. The ball's in your court. It's up to you at this point. Getting that out the way, let's get on to the game itself. Man, oh man, for me to sit up here and even try to list off all the reasons as to why this is a big-time matchup, we'd be up here for 15 minutes. If you don't understand why this game is a big deal, I can't help you. I'm sorry. Maybe you're watching the wrong sport. Let's just go over some of the main reasons why it's so important. Number 1, the winner of this game, unless they somehow mess up in the Big 10 championship, they're going to make the college football playoff. This is a playoff game. Number 2, this is one of the best rivalries in all college football. Number 1 for me is the Iron Bowl, but hey, different conversation for a different day. Number 3, Ohio State fans are pretty salty because before the last 2 butt whoopings Michigan gave you, Ohio State won 8 straight in a row. And then speaking of butt whoopings, I guess that could be number 4. The past 2 years, Michigan has spanked Ohio State. It hasn't even been close. They've embarrassed them. And last but not least, these are just some main points. There's many more. The whole Connor Stallions, Jim Harbaugh, and the cheating scandal going on. You couldn't have wrote a better story yourself, even if you wanted to. You couldn't. Michigan beats Ohio State back-to-back years. Ohio State's salty, mad about it. Then it comes out that Michigan's cheating and just is lining up for an all-time matchup. If you're a diehard college football fan like myself, it just doesn't get too much better than this. Games like this happen, I'd say, once every 10 to 15 years. This is it, man. We're here. Michigan and Ohio State, they've ran the table up until this point, but here's the thing. If you lose this game, it doesn't amount to anything. And another thing to point out is the winner of this game is going to be on the highest of highs, but the loser is going to be on the lowest of lows. It's going to be a night and day difference, and that's why this game means so much. Let's get into the game itself, though. I'm going to assume I haven't even looked at the line. I know it's at Michigan, so Michigan's probably a, 2-3-point favorite, something like that. I'd be shocked if Ohio State's favorite in this game. Pulling it up right here, and yep, Michigan is a 3-point favorite. No shocker there. The game will be kicking off at 11 a.m. per usual, so don't sleep in Saturday because you got to be up for this game. And good gosh almighty, man, I can't emphasize this enough. This is one of those games where you can't miss a split second of it. At least I can't. For example, when Ohio State was playing Notre Dame this year, I could see myself going, oh yeah, I could miss the kickoff in the first 2 or 3 minutes, no big deal. But no. This game, I can't miss anything. Heck, I might even watch the commercials. I can't miss a split second. I gotta see every single minor detail. Let's start out with this, though. Why did Michigan dominate Ohio State last year? It came down to, I was gonna say 2, but let's say 3 factors. Number 1, their defense just completely shut down Ohio State's offense. C.J. Stroud struggled mightily, and it wasn't a good day. He had 2 interceptions. But ultimately, why Michigan won this game is because they put up a whopping 45 on their dome piece in their home stadium. Why did that happen? For 2 reasons. Number 1, Donovan Edwards broke off multiple big-time runs. He had 22 carries for over 200 yards. But also, here's something you need to throw in there, and these numbers don't do it any justice. J.J. McCarthy only completed 50% of his passes. He only completed 12. But here's the kicker. Every single pass he completed, it was like a 30, 40-yard gain. 12 completions for nearly 275 through the air with 3 touchdowns, QBR of almost flawless 93.1. He couldn't have played too much better. J.J. McCarthy made every single big-time throw he needed to make. And that's what it came down to. Yeah, Michigan shut down Ohio State's offense, but Ohio State wasn't even going to come close to 45 points. It was a complete and straight up butt whooping. End of story. This wasn't one of those games where you're pointing to one or two plays and that could have saved Ohio State. No. You got dominated, man. Flat out dominated. I don't want to hear anything. But what about the year before in 2021 when McNamara was the guy? Michigan yet again gave him a butt whooping. Not as bad, but still beat him by 15 points. And what was the X factor in this game similar to last year? The rushing attack. Michigan had 41 carries for 297 yards. So in back-to-back years, Michigan has ran for over 250 yards per game. That's really interesting and extremely worrisome if I was an Ohio State fan, because I got some bad and unfortunate news for you. Michigan has their star running back returning, Blake Corum, who didn't even play last year, and also the same guy who ran for over 200 yards on you last year as well, in Donovan Edwards. And I stated heading into that game last year, I don't know if some of y'all remember, I said Donovan Edwards, he's going to have a day, and it didn't matter if they had Blake Corum or not. A lot of people don't give Donovan Edwards the respect he deserves, but he is just as good as Blake Corum in my humble opinion. Of course, Blake Corum is their workhorse and their short yardage guy, but when it comes to being an all-around running back, Donovan Edwards, he's not too far behind. I love his game. I think Donovan Edwards is going to have one of those really good NFL careers. You didn't hear a lot about him in college, but in the NFL, he could be a star. I showed you what happened the past couple of years, so let's fast forward in time to our current date. When we talk about and preview these games, you know what I like to do. I give you an X factor. But in this game, I don't think there's just one X factor. I think there's about three. Obviously, we just harped on it for about 3 to 4 minutes, so it's got to be X factor. The Ohio State front seven versus the Michigan rushing attack. X factor number 2 is J.J. McCarthy. We'll get to him in just a second. And X factor number 3 is Kyle McCord. What happened last year was early in the game, Ohio State made Michigan pass the ball. They was like, all right, we're putting 8 in the box. J.J. McCarthy, he's got to make some big-time throws for us to even respect him. And he made them. But as we all saw last week against Maryland, let me say that again, Maryland, whose defense doesn't even compare to Ohio State's defense. Ohio State's defense is just 10 times better than Maryland's. J.J. McCarthy struggled mightily. It was one of his worst games I've ever seen him play. That did concern me a little bit, but overall, he's played better than he's played worse this year, so I'll just give him the benefit of the doubt. It was one of those bad games, and maybe he was looking forward to Ohio State. You never know. Long story short, I'm going to give McCarthy the benefit of the doubt on last week, and he played good against Ohio State last year, so I'll give him a pass. With that being said, here's a difference in this Michigan team compared to Ohio State. I think Michigan is good enough to win, even though J.J. McCarthy plays average in this game against Ohio State. That's the difference. McCarthy could go out here, not look good, and Michigan's rushing attack could just take over and carry a game. I'm not saying it's going to be pretty to watch, but I think they're that good. However, on the flip side, I don't think Ohio State can do that. I don't think Ohio State's good enough for Kyle McCord to play a mediocre game and still win. Because think about it. The past 2 years, C.J. Stroud played really good. Well, he didn't play really good last year, but the year before he played really good, and they still lost. McCord has to, and I mean he absolutely has to, play a good game at bare minimum for Ohio State to even have a chance. Because if he plays bad, I'll let this be known right now, it might get ugly. Kyle McCord has got to play good in this game. However, here's a player to watch out for, and I've been harping on this guy ever since last year, TreVeyon Henderson. Man, oh man, I love his game. He is easily, in my humble opinion, a top 3 running back in the nation. I get it. That's some bold words. That's some high praise, but I love everything about his game. He doesn't get the love he deserves, I feel like, because when you think of Ohio State, what do you think of? Quarterback play and wide receivers. You don't really think of running backs. But I'm telling you right now, TreVeyon Henderson, he ain't too far behind old Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards. And you know what? If I had to pick right now, I would take TreVeyon Henderson out of all these running backs in this game. He's an elusive back that can do a little bit of everything, and he can also break off the big ones. I wish Ohio State would give more carries, but that's just not their play style. They want to pass. And since we're talking about the running backs, I'll just make this clear right now. I think the running back play in this game, it's 1A, 1B. Not too big of a separation. As far as it goes for receivers in this game, obviously Ohio State has the edge. They have one of the best players in the country. Not just one of the best wide receivers. No. One of the best players in Marvin Harrison Jr. They got the edge there, but on quarterback play, let me know in the comment section who has the edge. I think some people watching this video might say Kyle McCord because of the recency bias after watching McCarthy play miserable last week. And hey, I get it, I really do, but to me, it's not even up for debate. Michigan has the better quarterback in this game than McCarthy. And it's not so much that I'm hating on McCord, it's because I've seen J.J. McCarthy play good in the game before. I haven't seen Kyle McCord play in the Ohio State-Michigan matchup. I don't know how he's going to fare out. But for McCarthy, with seeing how good, or not just good, my bad, how great he looked last year against Ohio State, I got to take him in this game. I think Kyle McCord is good, and I think he could play the game of his life, but it's one of those things where I got to see it first. Another thing, too, I want to throw in there is it's extremely hard for me to evaluate Ohio State, Michigan in the past couple of weeks, or heck, I'll show you right here the past 5 weeks, because look at this. They play straight up cupcakes. I mean, come on now, what are we talking about? The Big Ten is straight up awful, but don't even get me started on that. But with all that being said, here's what it comes down to for me. This is essentially speaking the same Michigan team as last year. Yeah, you lost a couple of guys here and there, but you got your star quarterback back and got both your running backs. So I somewhat know what to expect out of this Michigan team. They're going to try to establish a run in this game, and J.J. McCarthy's going to have about 7 or 8 big-time throws. Now, whether he hits the big-time throws or not, that's up for debate. Michigan is not going to go out here and sling the ball 40, 45 times unless they're trailing in this game by a lot. On the flip side for Ohio State, heck, I don't know what to expect. I don't know what to expect heading into a game this year, and to go on top of that, I don't know what to expect heading into the Michigan game. Based off of what they've done the past 2 years, why would anybody in their right state of mind pick Ohio State to beat Michigan? I want you to think about this, Ohio State fans. Really think about this. You had the better quarterback in this game the past 2 years, and you've gotten blown out. Hasn't even been close. And this year, you don't have the better quarterback. So, as a college football fan, what should I think is going to happen? You see what I'm saying? Common sense would tell you Ohio State doesn't even have a chance in this game because they don't even have the better quarterback. The only advantage you had the past 2 years was, okay, you had the better quarterback, and still that wasn't enough. And heck, man, I'd argue and say that the past couple of years you had a better overall wide receiver core. Yeah, you got Marvin Harrison Jr. this year, but outside of that, it's nothing too crazy. I think Michigan is the overall better team in this matchup. However, I do want to throw this in there as well. I'm extremely curious to see how this Ohio State defense fares down against this Michigan offense. Because, yeah, they've looked good against, Minnesota, Michigan State, Rutgers, and Wisconsin, and Penn State. But come on now, whose defense wouldn't look good against those teams? And all year long, I've had these Ohio State fans tweeting at me, oh, Matt, the defense has improved. And I'm like, well, I got to see what you do against Michigan because the past 2 years, you've been embarrassed. At the end of the day, though, when I'm picking big-time games like this, I got to pick the team and roll with the team I trust more. And I think you know where I'm going with this. I trust Michigan way more than Ohio State. I think Michigan has the overall better team in this game, and I trust them more, and it's why I'm picking them to win. I'm going to say Michigan. Hold on, let me think about this. I'm going to say Michigan 31, Ohio Little Bro State 20. Yep, I think it's going to be a 10-point ball game. I think Michigan wins this game with somewhat ease. I'm extremely curious. Let me know your thoughts down below. But